like today, what I really want to talk about is, because you're an athlete.
Let's use that term extremely loosely.
I think you're an athlete. You're definitely an athlete. Everything that you've done, but you have the mental mindset of an athlete for sure.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I've done athletic things my whole life, but I actually have never thought of myself as an athlete. Like my
Really?
athletic career, when I think of
Yeah.
it in those terms, ended when I left high school. I mean, I played water polo and baseball at a mediocre level, by the way.
Did you go to college?
I did not.
You joined the teams?
I joined the teams. I actually enlisted in the Navy when I was a junior in high school.
Wow.
While my friends were, studying for SATs, applying to colleges, they were actually really stressed out. I was just kind of focusing on what I thought the physical demands were going to be for the SEAL pipeline. So they were doing that
How was
stuff.
that going through the training then? If you don't consider yourself an athlete, I mean, do you think it was more mental or physical at that point?
That's a question I get often, and people will say it's 80% mental, which is, I don't think so, because there's a pretty big physical component as well. But what I will say is you don't have to be a stellar athlete. I would say from an athletic perspective, average is good enough to make it through the training pipeline. But average from a mental approach is not going to get you across the finish line.
Do you think that the training that you went through out in San Diego and passing, do you think that like, and then going into the teams and joining the teams, do you think that really prepared you for what was to come with the teams?
Uh, from a mental perspective and from a dealing with stress perspective, I think that it helped, but I've never done any running or jumping jacks or pull-ups or flutter kicks or rope climbs or running around with a boat on my head overseas. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the purpose of BUDS is it's a crucible.
Yeah.
It's a filtering process that's supposed to weed out the people that don't need to be there, and the curriculum does its job, and it largely sifts through everybody who shows up and it spits the right people into the teams. But the physical demand of the teams is far different than the physical demand of BUDS. And it should be, because BUDS, you don't really learn anything in BUDS. You start learning things when you get into the community. Then you're talking, body weight, gun, water, all that stuff. And you just don't run around in BUDS with, anything other than really your body weight or a telephone pole. And you don't do that for that much either.
So, question, if you were not a SEAL when you're retired, what do you think you would have done with your career or your life?
That's a tough one, because I didn't have a plan B, which I thought at the time. I was like, okay, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And it was awesome because I never really had anything else to think about other than just trying to finish the day that I was involved in. But I didn't realize until I went back as an instructor how many people accidentally get hurt. They'll fall off an obstacle and break a leg or get shin splints. I had no idea the number of people who are awesome, but they just physically can't make it through. So I wouldn't recommend to people to not have a plan B. But what I would say is don't make plan B so enticing that perhaps it will become
Make it
a
easy to
better
quit.
option.
Right.
Yeah, a better option mentally when it gets tough. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that helped push you through because you didn't have a plan B? Because you were so set on like, this is what I'm going to do?
I think it helped, but then I also think I got very lucky. And I say that again based off my time there as an instructor and just seeing, I just didn't realize how many people get fucked up in training.
What year did you join the teams?
So I joined the Navy in August of 96. I started BUDS in January of 97, graduated in August of 97, and then Fort Benning after that to jump school. So I got to my first operational team late 97.
97. And then how long were you in before you retired?
I did 1 month shy of 17 years. So
Wow.
I just say 17 years because I figure the government can spot me a month. It's easier than
It
saying
is.
I did 16 years, 11 months, and 2 days. I'm just like, I did 17 years.
I think
People
it's
have
fair.
a problem with that. Yeah.
I think that's
They can
fair.
spot me a bit.
And you got injured
Yes.
and you medically retired.
I did medically retire. I was actually about 5 days from just separating from the military because I switched over from being an enlisted to an officer when I was a BUDS instructor.
Yeah.
And each one of those has a different pipeline. Like there's an enlisted career path and an officer career path, and there's mandatory jobs that you have to hold along the way if you want to continue to advance. And basically the officer detailer told me that the combat deployment I had done in 2010 essentially didn't count, even though I was filling a billet that I would need later on down in my career. She basically said, well, it doesn't actually count because on paper, that's not what you were written in as. So I asked her what I would need to do. And she essentially said back to back deployments. And already in my mind, I was like, that's not going to happen from a physiological perspective. And I just didn't have the desire to do it. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm just going to hang the spurs up and get out. And the doctor would not sign my discharge physical, who I was super pissed at the time. But then a year later, they ended up medically retiring me. So I preserved all my benefits. So in the end, the guy did me a super solid.
Right.
And I'm very thankful for it.
Yeah.